So you're either returning to Idle Heroes or maybe you're a new player to Idle Heroes, and let's be honest, it's a little hard finding up-to-date information about the game out there right now that isn't specifically geared towards the end game or, especially spenders showing off everything there is in the game. Understanding the basics of Idle Heroes, especially if you're coming back to it, can be very confusing because if you've been gone 2, 3, even 4 years, you've missed a ton of power systems and game modes that have been added to the game. So it's not the same old Idle Heroes it's actually gotten a lot better for free to play while also, still staying very pay to win in a lot of different game modes. The nice highlight is it is a very PvE oriented game in the end game. Instead of previously in the old days, it was just you get through a certain amount of stuff and it's all about the PvP, and the whales have a huge advantage there. They have a huge advantage in PvE, but this is a really cool system that they have now to go through the PvE content where you can set up your own goals and make really fast progression with the power systems they've added to the game. So hopefully you guys enjoy this one. We're gonna be jumping into this series, essentially going over from the basics to the more advanced different systems, and we're probably gonna do this over the next week and put a ton of videos into a playlist. So whether you're new or returning, make sure you guys take 1 second, hit that subscribe button. Let's jump right into it. So let's start with the basics. Most of you guys are most likely coming back to an account that has, like Horus, Ada, or maybe you're a new player with a very fresh account. Your account's not going to look anything like this with all these shiny little doodads. You have no clue what any of them do. We'll get to those type things down the road. Number one is if you want to restart at any time, there's an amazing new system that they've added to the game with chapter progression that basically gives you free resources and helps guide you into some goals for you guys to see. You can see there's tons of chapters. There's a bunch I haven't even done because they keep implementing more of them, and they also give you hero copies and food to build. You'll see some of these puppets here. Those are basically just purely food. Please never build a puppet as an actual hero. They are not a hero, but they feed you hero copies and stuff to be able to build stuff. They give you free heroic scrolls, tons of gems in the early game, so you might want to come back to that because it can be very, very fun. You might notice one thing a little different immediately upon logging in is your campaign might look different from mine. That's because there is the regular campaign and the void campaign. So you can see right here, very different look from what you guys are used to. This here is basically unlocked after you get through the entirety of the normal campaign. If I jump on over to one of our tons of servers that we have, because we've been playing this off and on with all different types of accounts, whether it's free to play, spender, all that fun stuff. I'll show you guys what it normally looks like. So you see right here, tons of comeback packs too, lots of different things that are going to give you big benefits if you come back to an account you've already used, or of course you can always just start on a brand new server. This is the normal campaign that you guys are used to. Essentially, they've unlocked a lot of quality of life features in this game that never existed in the old days. One of them being, once you get to account level 130 and get to stage 23-5, you have an auto battler. So it'll grind through all the battles for you, which is really cool. And as you guys can see here, they've even added even more difficulties to the campaign. The last one being Apocalypse. Once you get all the way through that, that is where you're going to unlock the Void campaign. That is one of the biggest goals for an early game account now, is getting through the Void camp, or getting to the Void campaign and unlocking special heroes. So you'll see there, that is the base version, and then of course the Void campaign is something that we'll get into much later on, because if you are coming back, getting through the regular campaign is going to take you a little bit, and we'll have specific guys talking about that because this is where a lot of new power systems come into play. So as far as that goes, that is kind of like the change of campaign. As far as gold goes, gem goes, it's pretty much the same thing, except gems are much more acquirable and very easy to save up nowadays. Granted, there are lots of events that require you to use gems. You rarely ever use the gems in the marketplace anymore, so just be careful with that. And of course, if you click down this bottom corner here, there is a new feature called Idle Master, which is honestly one of the best features I've ever seen in any of the Idle mobile gacha games I have ever played. It is literally a one-click dailies button, like 95% of your dailies are done with a single click. So if you can't really play one day and you just want to get on and not like miss a ton of resources, this does a lot of your stuff. You just have to go through and set it up. It's essentially like a bot. Like that's literally what it is. It's very, very simple to do, very easy to set up and get taken care of. All you have to do is hit this perform all button once you get it done, Give it a second because it does take time. And it does all of your signups, does all your tavern quests, everything with a single click. The only thing it's not going to do is your arena battle. So you do still have to go in there, do 3 arena battles, get your gems that way and everything. Very, very easy. Your daily login rewards have gotten a little better as well. So just be aware of that. You are going to get much better things. So be careful. You might notice there is a little bit difference of a friends list too. Not quite the same as the old days. They took out a bunch of the, man, I actually forget the name of it. The battles. You don't do the battles anymore. Totally forget the name of them. Friend raid, something like that. Those don't exist anymore. Instead, it's just a very simple friend system, which is great. Let's go around. We're going to move kind of like counterclockwise around this map, showing you guys some of the changes you need to know. Summoning circle, still the same 3 summoning features, except they did make a quality of life, upgrading it to 100. Never use these outside of an event that you're going to get bonus rewards, like ever. You rarely don't care about any hero you summon anymore. It's all about the bonus rewards you get, because regular heroes kind of, well, suck nowadays. They're decent in the early game, falls off pretty hard. Transition Temple, this is something extremely late game. We're not really going to talk about that in this video. Once you get your first E5 hero, you will unlock the Gate of the Void, which has a lot of power systems. Some of them are just like the obelisk heroes that are leaderboards that have, you know, the rankings. Other places are guides telling you what bonuses you can get in the Void Temple here. So if you get certain sea lands done, you'll do additional damage in this game mode. If you get to a certain difficulty in Tower of Oblivion, you'll get buffs. So everything that is getting bonus buffs from here are going to help you progress in the system. And there's really a few that are important. Realms Gate is an interesting one. This is one where you move through a map with your team. There are going to be different things you get, like, you know, you have to buy gems. There are going to be battles you can do, which are pretty much predetermined and set. You basically need to go through these, make your way through the map. You don't have to do this manually. There is an auto feature. If you're lazy, it's probably smart to do that, to be honest. But this is where you're going to be generating a lot of the newer resources you might not be aware of, like Stellar Shards, like Crystals of Transcendence. These power up your hero. These build your Transcendence heroes, which is why they're 2 very important materials. And you can see here, this is the first time I've actually manually done this in forever, because there is a smash button, and the smash button is really important. The thing is, there's different corruptions levels. You're going to start at level 10 when you get here. Yeah, you can go even higher than that too. You just need to push every time you beat a level on the right side. So for example, if I work all the way to the right side here and beat the boss in the far right tile and I'm at 10, I unlock difficulty 11. So you just have to do that over and over again, and you get a ton of resources from this game mode. Void Vortex is a very important one, and if you are coming back to your server, you actually might have a ridiculous amount of gems from people completing different achievements and stuff. Like, and I mean a lot of gems, which means just using your old accounts, not a bad thing. There's very little competition within your own server anymore. It's pretty much cross all server and even cross platform now. This is going to be important because twice a week this opens. Again, it generates a lot of these extra resources based on the rank you get to. You want to grind that up. And another one over here is the Void Arc, which is an interesting one as well. You unlock these zones. I haven't done it in forever because we're kind of past the point of this being like super necessary for us. But you basically get these maps, and you have to go around the map to basically 100% it. There's some PvP battles in here as well of different people. There's nodes. This is very important in the early game because one of the things you're going to get is a currency to buy additional resources and buy eggs, because eggs are really important, which goes to the galactic tree right here. You awaken eggs to get these star spawn, and these star spawn will give you flat stats. So you can see right here, just giving you fixed stats. What fixed stats means is these stats are not modified by any percent multipliers or anything like that on your character. It's just, if it says 24,000, all of your characters are literally getting 24,000 attack. So that's why if you're coming back and you might see, hey, I have a 100,000 attack hero. This guy over here has 200 million attack. That's how things get added up. But using those eggs and hatching them, very, very important. There are 2 things right here as well. Compass of Transcendence is an important one. This is where you're going to use your Cores of Transcendence for a newer summon system. And you know, I can probably show you guys an example right here. Now you just do any old symbol, any old drawing, and you're getting a couple things. You're getting tons of hero copies, you're getting crystals of transcendence for summoning, and you're getting these spheres that you can convert into additional stellar shards. These are one of the big chases in the early game. You getting the power through stellar shards is always good. And of course, you can get light and dark heroes and chase heroes because you can pick a light and dark hero and a regular 4-faction hero to get a little bit of an uprate. Beyond that, like I said, you can take some of your older heroes, and some of them are fan favorites, like Queen, like Asmodel, like Jara, like Vesa, like Aspen, or it can be some new heroes. A lot of you guys from the old days might not know who any of these heroes are. We'll have a guide kind of talking about each individual section of the game coming up. So again, this is a very just quick overview of all the different systems here. Crystals of Transcendence, you need 5 million of them, plus the original hero copy like this right here to turn it into a Transcendence hero. And you can do it even to a 5-star hero. It doesn't have to be like to a fully built hero. It doesn't matter. So that's something cool. You can replace them. You can swap them, all those fun things. Really awesome. There's a thing called the auction house right now. This is another summoning system that ended up in the game, and these heroes have some base stats. You can see even some old heroes like Amavor, you see Aspen. These hero copies come from another summoning session that we'll talk about here in a second. This is another way to help buff your heroes up. And different tiers, you can see C, B, A, SSS, even, there's even like D and E tiers, but you can't actually sell those. These have some really special things that not only give additional stats, but give secondary stats that are very, very overpowered, like Giant Killer. Basically lets you deal double damage to enemies who have more HP than you, which is every single PvE game mode in the game. Really, really powerful. Things like this, very, very strong. Goes for a ton of these starry gems, which again, we'll talk about in something different. Just know you can buy, sell them on here. Pretty interesting. Going over to the Tavern and Wish, you have the Tavern that you guys may or may not be used to. You have your individual quests, which are a little more random, and you have your team quests. Team quests require friends list people to send your hero, or basically to like use your heroes with. But you see, these are guaranteed gems. So yes, you do generate a lot more gems on a daily basis here. You can re-roll them if you want. And the quest system is cool because instead of before having to complete them every month during the month, you get these badges that you can turn in future months. So if for some reason you hit like 3 7-star quests in this month and you only needed 2, that's not a big deal. You don't have to like save the quest or anything. You just get the coin and then you turn it in the next month. Really, really awesome. Profit tree is pretty much the same. Everything looks the same here, except one cool feature they did add. If I can just jump it to a hero here, you can do pity swaps now. So if you want, like for example, like Jara, we'll just say Jar for example. If you do 100 swaps, you're guaranteed a Jar copy. It's a lot of swaps. Not really something that you're going to have very often, but again, this is one of those quality of life features they added with a pity on the swap, which is pretty cool. Marketplace might be a little overwhelming. There's new things here like crystals of transcendence or cores of transcendence. Most things you're going to stay away from here, except for the typical. You're going to want to buy like the 3 stars up. A lot of things here are just don't touch. You don't really spend your gems in stores like this anymore. You spend your gems on events. So you're not going to be buying heroic scrolls daily. You're not going to be buying cores of transcendence. It's just not required, and most of the store isn't touched. They did lump all the different stores in, like the Glorious Temple, into the same place. You can access them from anywhere that any of these exist. So there are a lot of different things that are similar to the old days, and then there's new things you might not be aware of. The altar store, you can get heroes like Drake, heroes like Aspen, really awesome things. You have this Sealand store where you can get hero copies or treasures, which treasures we'll talk about by themselves. Lucky store, Arena store, which has a couple things added to it. You can get regular wishing coins now, which is really, really cool. Profit orbs as well. Some special PvP stores, which we'll talk about. And of course, the Dragon Scale store. This is essentially for, oh my gosh, Brave Trial, I think. Once you beat Brave Trial nowadays, you don't have to revisit it. It's very simple. But these things still come up, and we are at 1.1 million. I did not even realize we were at that many. Kind of crazy. But yeah, there's a bunch of different stores, even some other guild stores and stuff that you unlock later on. Really cool things. Fortune Ruins. So this is essentially your creation circle and your altar. They just again lumped it into one because they needed the space. Arena, you'll be sad to know Crystal Crown Arena, the what is it, 6v6 arena on your server, doesn't exist past the first 6 months of a new server. They've just done away with it. and we hate it. There are some other different ones here, like Interdimensional Arena, where you can set up to like 5 teams for some group PvP. Trial of Champion, you probably know about. Free Team Arena, you join other people, is different. Star Arena, not a fan of this one. You set up a 6-hero lineup. I'll just kind of like chuck some heroes in here. And then when you match up for different teams, you're going to be able to like steal heroes from other teams that you beat. So if you beat all these teams here, at the end of it, they'll offer you some of the heroes that you can take for your own team, and you can use them like 5 times. It's an interesting game mode. It's completely free. Like, there's no currency tied to this. So you can do it forever if you really enjoy it. I'm not a fan of it, so I stay away from it. You will see Celestial Island is similar, however, much more advanced nowadays. There are new buildings, which I haven't even visited in a while. You get avatars that give you stat boost. You know, skins that give you stat boosts now, just flat across your account, attribute boosts for gear, all these different things here. And beyond that, there's 2 different game modes now. Adventure mode, where you actually literally go on an adventure. I haven't done this in forever, manually. But you go on this little ship and you can get rewards based on things you get, including puppets, which help you build food. And in the early game, this is absolutely amazing. So it's something to definitely pay attention to and do every single day. And then Cloud Island is a residence system that you place a main householder, main hero in, and then you put other heroes underneath them, and they inherit their stats. So even if you don't use any of these heroes in your normal combat, you want them to be very powerful because they're feeding all this additional attack. And you see 42 million attack is getting sent over to our main hero. Again, we'll go into this a little more details. Quick little overview here. Pretty cool system. It's not bad. Moving on to Soul Temple, though. This is where you get those newer hero copies that I was talking about that have the different tier ratings. You summon with different currencies. You can use... it's very confusing. There's Prism Starry Gems, which you get by default from the store, that then can get converted into Starry Gems. Contract Starry Gems are ones that you can use in this Soul Temple, but you can't use them on the auction house. And then there's a Soulbound version, which are ones that cannot leave your account. So any hero you summon with these Soulbound ones are bound to your account. You can't sell them. You can, of course, destroy them for additional resources. If you are back this week and you see this Sacred Awakening session, just ignore it. This is the pure pay-to-win thing. Not something you see normally. It happens like maybe once or twice an entire year. So not bad. Ethereal Realm, my goodness. Yeah, just don't, you're not going to touch this for a very long time. This is the newest power system and takes a very, 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 very long time to get there. If you're free to play, it's going to take years. Not worth talking about. Fantasy Arcade. This is a nice little side game, or multiple games. One of them is like Vampire Survivors. Another one is a Tower Defense. Another one is a match, not a match 3, but like a combined dragons type thing. It's interesting. It's cool. You can play it on the side. The nice thing is, as you get additional things, you're going to unlock rewards. So as you do these game modes, you'll see there's different rewards, scrolls, and gems. More gems, profit orbs. You even get pay-to-win artifact chests in here, which is kind of cool. More gems, scrolls. You can see it's a similar trend here, right? Lots of things you can get, so just keep that in mind. It's a cool little side game to do because you can get resources for your account to continue pushing. Blacksmith, bunch of new things in here that you guys aren't used to. The Forge is what you probably know and have gotten used to. You can build and upgrade your normal sets of gear, which really aren't used anymore. There's Ormut's Workshop, where you can take normal pay-to-win artifacts and turn them into special versions that have much more increased stats. And of course, special abilities. Those can go all the way up to 3-star, which is pretty interesting. In order to make those, you need to disassemble other artifacts to get the resource for it. Again, we'll go into that separately. Great Dwarf's Blessing. You might be used to this being an event and not just here all the time. That's because you can now create further than just class sets that give you bonuses. You can create resident suits of gear that give bonuses for that class and have a very specific hero enhancement as well. So this will roll a random hero. Let's just say Aspen, for example. And if you equip it on Aspen, you get 6% all damage dealt bonus. Really cool system. In general, you can go all the way up to 3-star on this gear now. It will take quite a while, but you see the raw stats on it. I mean, let's just go for example. Boots, 126,000 HP versus a 6-star set of gear, 32,000. Big difference. You can convert the gear. And then this is the residence I was talking about here. You have to re-roll your gear in order to get the hero you want on it. Each hero has like different stuff. So You can spend gems to force the hero you want. So like if I want Sun Wukong, I can force it. It takes 3,000 gems max. I usually say don't do that, so just beware. And of course you can disassemble different gear in order to get this soul resonance. You see right here we get 1 billion off of it. It comes very easy, but you burn through it very, very quickly. And one last thing in here is the new mysterious deification workshop. You can deify regular artifacts, which means you take this new special origin artifact, which you don't use by itself, merge it with something like an antlers cane, and you get a much better version of it. And then you can take these into the Ormus workshop and turn them into 3-star versions that just have ridiculous power gains in it. There's just so many of them now. There's a lot more artifacts you guys probably don't even know about. We'll talk about at a separate time. And last but not least, right here, Tower of the Brave has pretty much all the game modes that are lumped together. We have Tower of Oblivion, which now has Tower of Dream once you complete it. So there's more game modes to go on through there. There's Aspen Dungeon. You can go all the way up to, actually, how far? What are we at now? 300? So you go through Hell, you get through Death 100, and then you get to Purgatory up to 400 right now. And yeah, there's a lot of levels to be had right there. There is Sealand, which now you can go all the way up to level 40. You guys might be back from the days where getting to Sealand 10 was a huge accomplishment with like a King Barton and a 10-star Berea. There's a lot of things going on here now, as you guys can see. And then beyond that, there's a whole bunch of ways to get additional resources, like an achievement system, both in the Glory Challenge and the achievements itself. There's a lot going on. I'm not even going to touch on like, you know, the events yet, anything along those lines. There are a couple things down the bottom of the screen, like the treasure train. This is going to be a way to get completely raw stats. I didn't realize I was getting almost 2 billion HP from this. This is another summoning system that uses treasure crystals and treasure coupons, and you get a whole bunch of different things here. You can see I can go back to 2024 when I have some maxed out ones and stuff, giving huge stat bonuses to your heroes. These are stats that are not multiplied but are just added to every hero, as well as special features in certain game modes. So this is one you might be saving for even right out of the gate. You're not going to want to consume them immediately, so just be prepared. Monsters really have not changed. They're the same old. They help buff your team. Going for ones like the Phoenix is like the safest bet for PvE content. Just very versatile, very good. Guild is much different nowadays. You'll notice there's a lot more different things to give rewards and stuff. There's new game modes in it, PvP modes. Your tech is still the same, except you have this new second layer that gives damage reduction against certain classes, gives you control immunity against certain types. A lot of this is the same. Guild Altar has been cleaned up and made very easy to do. And the store is pretty awesome in this as well. So there's lots of cool things here. You'll probably go into your bags and not know what to do either. So we'll have a separate breakdown. But that's kind of like my intro for you guys coming back, especially since Wrath of God Gaming might be coming back to Idle Heroes. This might help him understand some of these things a little bit better, because even beyond that, I mean, like, you can see you got like these normal power systems you might be used to. You got going up to E5, which you're used to. You have this right here, your Void Imprinting, which you're using those Stellar Shards on. That modifies your abilities and gives you raw stats. Then you have Tree of Origin, which again further increases the way that your abilities work. You have special things in here, that noble cores that you can use to give them even more enhanced things. And then it goes even further to Destiny Transition. Again, this is a game mode, or the power mode, very few people in the game even get to. You're basically a spender getting to it. I'm sure there's some free to play that I've got here that are doing pretty decently, that have been playing for a while. If you're on a newer account, getting to Destiny Transition can be very difficult, because getting through Tree of Origin is really hard. And then beyond that, I'm just going to blow your mind. There's an even further power mode that is just completely not worth talking about, because this is like the 0.1% of players that spend and everything. Takes a lot to get here, and takes a lot to get these things from your event. So hopefully it gives you a quick synopsis. Don't worry, we're going to break down a lot of these different game modes and give you really deep descriptions on how to maximize your progress on all of them. And we're going to turn this into a playlist. So hopefully you guys enjoy this one. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys want to know more about specifically in the comments down below, and I'll make sure I address that in the next couple of videos. See you guys next time.